The Gospel of St. John, chapter 5 and verse 1. After these things, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porticos. In these lay a multitude of those who were sick, blind, lame, and withered, waiting for the moving of the waters. For an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool and stirred up the water. Whoever then first, after the stirring up of the water, stepped in was made well from whatever disease with which he was afflicted. A man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been a long time in that condition, he said to him, "Do you wish to get well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool, which when the water is stirred up, but while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your pallet and walk." Immediately the man became well and picked up his pallet and began to walk. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Praise be to God.
You may be seated. May God add his blessing to the reading and hearing and understanding of his word. The pool at Bethesda was a holy and blessed place of healing. Some of you have maybe heard of the Bethesda Naval Hospital. It's named after the pool at Bethesda. I always think about that whenever I hear in the news about the Bethesda Naval Hospital. Multitudes of sick would gather there, and they would wait for the moving of the water. Many of them would have family and friends who would sit and wait with them. And when the waters would be stirred, they would help them. And people would rush to the water. And the first one to touch the waters and get in would be healed. During the feast of the Jews, Jesus and the apostles arrive in Jerusalem, and they go down to the pool. And we have recorded for us here a man who had been ill for 38 years. There is a lot that can be unpacked about this encounter. Time will not allow me to unpack everything, but I want this morning to look at 3 or 4 things. Because everybody has issues in their life. Things that we struggle with. Sometimes they're physical. Sometimes they're emotional issues that plague us and drag us down. Sometimes they're spiritual. There's just always something. But also there's times when there are people around us that are struggling, and we struggle with how can we help them. So I want to share 3 or 4 things with you. The first thing I want us to notice is Jesus saw this man's predicament. Bible tells us very plainly, history tells us, that there were multitudes there. There always was. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there were always multitudes there. Not just of sick, but of people. Because even the sick, a lot of them weak, needing assistance to even get down into the pool, much less to be able to do it quickly, to try to be the first. So you can imagine surrounding this pool, the multitude of people crammed in. And Jesus and his apostles meandering through this crowd. But Jesus sees this man. This morning I want you to know, I want to affirm to you, Jesus sees you. Oftentimes in the midst of things we go through, it's easy to feel alone. Like what we go through, no one notices. No one sees. Feel like we trudge on in the dark. No one knows the trouble I've seen. I want you to begin to embrace, open up your mind and your heart to the fact God sees you. Everyone loves that old poem about footprints in the sand. But even in that little poem, the individual that has that dream until the end has that sense that during the dark times of their life, they're alone. Because you remember the question at the end, near the end of the dream, he asked the Lord. He says, during the good times, during the happy times, there were two sets of footprints. But I noticed during the hard times, during the dark times, during the troubled times of my life, there was only one set. Where were you? And then there's that great line that everybody loves. It was in those times I carried you through. Amen. But there's that line, where were you? That feeling, was I alone? It's easy to fall into that. And people need to know a lot of times we feel alone. Sometimes the loneliest people are in a big crowd. The Christian journey isn't about feelings. It's not about emotions. It's about faith. It's about trust. and knowing that Jesus is always there. Jesus said very plainly in his word, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. And in the midst of all this crowd, he sees this one man who has no one there. Tells him very plainly, I have no one to help me. And as I scoot, as I slide and pull myself toward the pool, somebody, others, get to the pool first. Whatever friends, whatever family he had at first that maybe was there to try and help him have long gone. But Jesus sees him. Jesus sees what you're going through. Secondly, he asked him an odd question. Do you want to be healed? I want you to just wallow that question in your mind a little bit. Here's a man who's been sick for 38 years, who's down at the pool where the only reason to be there is either to be healed or help somebody to the pool to be healed. And Jesus asked him, do you want to be healed? He causes him to really look within himself. Why are you here? If you realize you cannot get to the pool in time, in your condition you have no hope of being the first. Why are you here? You really want to get well? Why are you here? Let me ask you a question. Why are you here today? Why is it you come to worship on Sunday? Is it out of habit? Is it just because that's the way you were raised? Because you just, well, it's the right thing to do. What is it you seek when you come to worship? Do you come expecting anything? Do you come hoping for anything? Other than maybe hoping I won't be too long-winded. I'm serious. Why are you here? I think we ought to ask ourselves that from time to time. And you notice when he asked him that question, he never answers Jesus that. He never gives him an answer to that question. He just tells him why he hadn't been healed yet. Jesus says, do you want to be healed? He says, well, he says, I have no one to help me get down to the pool. By the time I try to start getting down there, somebody else beats me down there. I don't have anybody to help me get down there. I wonder if a lot of church people really want God to touch them when they come to church. Because it would mean change. Some people like to wallow in their issues. I've told you the story before. There was a lady in my hometown. I'm not going to call her name, but I know there's some folks from my hometown that watch this on the internet. But when I was growing up, that lady in our hometown, you didn't ask her how she was doing. She'd tell you. You get her whole health history. Some people like to wallow in it. Some people just love to live in drama. All the time. Some people like things just the way they are. Thirdly, who do we have our eyes on? This man says the whole reason he's not healed is because he didn't have any friends or family to help him into the pool. Some people are always expecting somebody else to get them out of the ditch. Somebody else to be their answer. Someone else to fix things. I think it's interesting, Jesus doesn't say, I will send someone to you. Jesus says, get up, pick up your pallet, and walk. The implication is quit looking for someone else. Believe in me. Believe in my power to heal. And do for yourself. Obey me in what I tell you to do. The other thing that I think is interesting, Jesus never identifies himself. This passage never says that the sick man knows exactly who Jesus is. He's not like the woman who touches the hem of Jesus' garment, who'd heard about Jesus, heard about him healed, and believes if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I can be healed. He's not like the Roman leader who comes to Jesus and says, I've heard of you. Come heal my daughter. Jesus is walking through this crowd, turns and looks at him and says, do you want to be healed? And the man says, I have no one to help me. And he says, rise, get up, pick up your pallet and walk. But of course there was something. There was something about it. Maybe he did recognize it. The Bible doesn't say. But what is very clear is he quit looking for someone else. And he trusted Jesus. And he obeyed. And he walked. too quick to blame others or to hope in others. Hope someone else will help us fix something. Hope someone else will be our solution. Blame others for the mess we're in. Everybody has tough times. Everybody goes through difficult things in their life. But it doesn't mean we have to let that define us. Jesus said, I have come to set you free from stuff like that. By His power, He can lead you out. Give us power to stand up and walk. I have seen God do miraculous things in people's lives. Set them free from the bondage of alcohol, drugs, awful, horrific home life. All kinds of things. Because they trusted Him and obeyed Him. Put their faith in Him. Lastly, and I've got to close. What is it Jesus is saying to you? While we wait for someone else. While we blame someone else. What is it maybe that Jesus would have you say to somebody? Maybe that word of encouragement. People need to know that we see that they're predicament, or that God sees their predicament. People need to know that He's there if they'll listen, if they'll obey, if they'll quit letting their circumstance define them. There are a lot of people who are just laying on their pallet, who need to get up and walk. Would you bow with me? Heavenly Father,